Good afternoon and welcome to today's Concert at One. My name is Melissa Baker and I'm the administrator here for Music and the Arts at Trinity Wall Street. Today we have a very special program of Broadway. It's going to be a 3-week series, so after today's concert, please join us again for the next 2 weeks. If you could please take a moment and turn off your cell phones or any noise-making devices so as to not disturb the performance, it would be greatly appreciated. Today we have 4 fantastic singers doing a Broadway musical from 1917, a very special treat. So could you please give me a warm welcome for today's artists and the curator, Rob Berman. Thank you.
Hey everybody. Thanks for coming out today in this less than beautiful weather. So I'm Rob Berman, and very, very excited to be here at Concerts at One for the next 3 weeks to bring some rarely heard musicals from the very early years of musical theater and Broadway. And as Melissa told you, today we're going to present songs from a show called Oh Boy, which has music by Jerome Kern, who is one of the great all-time songwriters. He went on to write shows like Showboat. And the lyrics of this show are written by P.G. Wodehouse, who is also very well known as an author. He wrote all the Jeeves and Wooster stories. And the book of this musical was written by Guy Bolton. The show was produced in 1917 and was a leading example of what came to be known as the princess musicals, which were intimate and smart musicals that played in the Princess Theater. The Princess Theater was built in 1912 and was on West 39th Street. It's no longer there. And it only had 299 seats, so it was a very small theater for a Broadway house. Kern and Bolton had written several shows for this theater, and then they joined forces with P.G. Wodehouse, and they wrote a series of hit shows for the theater, one of which was Oh Boy. It opened in 1917. It was so successful that it transferred to a larger theater and ran for until May of 1918. The princess shows were known for their wit, their sophistication, their clever plots, the naturalistic contemporary style, which was a real contrast to the extravagant operettas that were very popular at the time, as well as the very lavish revues like the Ziegfeld Follies. You'll hear the influence of Gilbert and Sullivan and comic opera. There's just some great melodies and very witty lyrics, so really listen. It's just some delicious stuff we're about to do for you. Joining me today, I have these wonderfully talented singers. I'm going to introduce to you now Patricia Noonan, Maggie Kanzler, Arlo Hill, Michael Marcotte, all wonderful singers I've had the joy of working with at the Encore series at City Center. They will each be playing one primary role this afternoon, but since there are only 4 of them, occasionally they're going to have to double on some other parts, and I'll explain that as we go. I'm going to narrate the story of this musical as we go, and we're going to do like a Reader's Digest version. We'll get it all in an hour. So let's begin. The show opens. Our setting is the bachelor apartment of George Budd in Meadowsides, Long Island. It is late at night. As the curtain goes up, a sneaky group of young revelers are climbing into the apartment from the fire escape. Led by Jim Marvin, a young and popular man about town, played by Arlo, this group is looking for a place to party and celebrate Jim's win at the polo match earlier in the day. They assume that George is home and asleep in the next room, so they try not to disturb him.
Creak along, although it's very rough. here when we're not invited. It makes us all the more excited. Not a sound, so let us prowl around. We've got a feeling that we've come where there may be someone hiding somewhere. Shh, be careful, do be quiet, or we must run away. If we're caught by the proprietor, what are we to say? Like the Russian dancers that scrape on our tippy-tip-toe, as we go with stealth to and fro. No, we'll not think about, why should we think about what the man may say? Let's make a night of it, be gay in spite of it, that's the wisest way.
I'll bet you 10 to 1 he won't mind. He'll simply think it fun, you will find. He won't be hard on us, he'll surely pardon us. He won't spoil the party, he won't be so silly and unkind.
He can't be here at all, if he were near at all, we'd have heard no noise. He can't be here at all, to interfere at all, with our simple joys.
Don't let us hesitate,
He's not in. Come for it's getting late. Let's begin. Time is flying slow. Use it while we may. When the dawn is gray, then off we'll have to go.
let's make a night of it.
Let's make a night of it now.
3 cheers, everyone! Jim has led the polo team to victory!
Some days are bum days, but sometimes there come days when your luck's in from the start. Days when the jinx doesn't drive you to drinks, and old man Trouble has a heart. When fate doesn't wait round the corner with a brick, and your stock goes up to par. Things aren't that way very much, but say, oh joy, oh boy, when they are. Ain't it a grand and a glorious feeling when the world is fair and bright? When nothing's gone wrong from the breakfast gong till you go to bed at night. When you're able to say as you're hitting the hay, this is the end of a perfect day. Ain't it a grand and a glorious feeling when you feel the world's all right?
Ain't it a grand and a glorious feeling when the world is fair and bright? When nothing's gone wrong from the breakfast gong till you go to bed at night. When you're able to say as you're hitting the hay, this is the end of a perfect day. Ain't it a grand and a glorious feeling when you feel the world's all right? Ain't it a grand and a glorious feeling when you feel the world's all right?
So, our revelers are surprised to find that George is not home, and they go into the dining room to look for food and drink. Unaware of the party happening in his own apartment, George, played here by Michael, arrives with Lou Ellen Carter, played here by Patricia, and we learn that the two have just eloped, and they are ready to spend their first night together, and they plan to head off on their honeymoon in the morning.
Oh, I just can't help worrying about your past.
I'm afraid it was a very dark one,
George!
because you weren't there to brighten it.
George. I wish I'd known you since you were a baby. Then I'd be sure I was the one woman in your life.
We were children once long ago, dear you and I. At the start our lives lay apart as lives will lie. Up I grew and I about you, dear, and you never knew about me. Life might have been heaven if I, then aged 7, had but met you when you were 3. We'd have made mud pies like affinities. We'd have known what rapture may be. I'd have let you feed my rabbit till the thing became a habit, dear. But I never knew about you.
Oh, what might have been.
And you never knew about me.
How I wish I'd known, dear, that one day you'd arrive, just to feel I had an ideal for which to strive. Had I known I'd meet you, my own, I would not have lived for pleasure alone. I was frivolous and gay, sad to say, when I was 5. I never knew about you, dear, and you never knew about me. I never missed chances of juvenile dances, for my life was one mad spree. I was often kissed 'neath the mistletoe by small boys excited with tea. Had I known that you existed, I'd have scratched them and resisted, dear. But I never knew about you.
Oh, the pain of it. And you never knew about me.
So, we quickly learn, however, that Llewellyn's parents and George's guardian know nothing of their elopement. Llewellyn's father is the esteemed and very respectable Judge Carter, and George receives a telegram from his guardian, his Quaker Aunt Penelope, announcing that she will be arriving for a visit in the morning to discuss the matter. So, George and Llewellyn decide that she will have to go back to her parents for the night. As she is leaving the apartment, she comes upon the revelers. The girls in the party invite her to join them at another party, but she explains to them that she has no desire to be a modern wife.
The modern wife leads a dreadful life that seems the modern fashion. For wicked ways and cabarets, she seems to have a passion. I never shall be up to date. That sort of thing I know I'd hate. So I want to be a good little wife in the good old-fashioned way. Will honor and obey. From my home I'll never stray. Although the thing that's smart is to be out all night at parties, I'll be sitting with my knitting in the good old-fashioned way.
was 1917, don't forget. George accompanies Llewellyn out of the apartment, and the landlord complains about all the noise, and the party is broken up. Jim remains alone in the apartment, and now, up the fire escape, through the window, wearing an evening gown and carrying a gun, comes a spirited young actress named Jackie Sampson. She encounters Jim and tells him that she's being pursued by a policeman and needs a place to hide out. Turns out that at a cabaret, a tipsy older gentleman known as Tootles made a pass at her, causing a public disturbance, and when the police arrived, she accidentally punched a constable in the eye. She fled the scene, leaving behind her bag, money, and possessions. Jim agrees to help her out, and the two suddenly realize that they like each other.
You're an awfully good sort to take all this trouble for somebody you don't even know.
I feel as if I've known you all my life.
Funny. I do too.
Perhaps we have met before.
Perhaps.
Well, we've met this time anyway, and we're gonna be pals.
That's it. Pals.
You are such a pal, don't know, never shall, why you outdistance all other women in existence. If you only knew how I've longed for you, I never thought you would ever come. What luck that brought you. Dozens and dozens of girls I have met, sisters and cousins of men in my set, try to be cheerful and give them an earful of soft sort of talk, but oh gosh, the strain was something fearful. Always found after a minute or two, just to be civil was all I could do. Now I know why I could never be contented. I was looking for a pal like you.
Oh, my friend indeed, you've been friending indeed, saved me from danger. I can't believe you're just a stranger. I've been waiting to all these years for you. I shan't forget you. I need to keep you now. I've met you. I've known so many, such hundreds of men, didn't like any except now and then. Flirted a minute, 'twas fun to begin it, but found out quite soon there was nothing, nothing, nothing in it. Often and often I used to get blue, just went on flirting for something to do. Now I know why, that sense of something missing. I was looking for a pal like you.
Now I know why I could never be contented. I was looking for a pal like you.
So, the policeman who's been pursuing Jackie shows up looking for the young lady who punched him. He doesn't recognize Jackie, and as a cover, Jim lies and tells him that Jackie is in fact George's new wife. The constable leaves, and to be safe, Jim tells Jackie to stay at George's apartment through the night while he agrees to go to the cabaret and search for her belongings. Jackie finds Llewellyn's bag and puts on Llewellyn's pajamas. George re-enters and discovers this strange woman in his bedroom wearing his wife's pajamas. But Jackie explains to him the whole situation and George agrees to head out in the rain to sleep at Jim's apartment for the night.
Well, I'd better be going now.
You are the most resourceful man I ever knew.
If you're hungry, the kitchen is in there.
No, you're too good to me. And after turning you out of your room so unceremoniously, too, it doesn't seem fair.
No, it's quite fair. Thank you all the same.
I'm so sad to think that I have had to drive you from your home so coolly.
I'd be gaining nothing by remaining. What would Mrs. Grundy say? Her conventions, kindly recollect them. We must please respect them duly.
My intrusion needs explaining. I felt my courage waning.
Please, I beg, don't mention it. I should not mind a bit, but it has started raining. Oh, the rain comes a pitter-patter, and I'd like to be safe in bed. Skies are weeping while the world is sleeping, trouble heaping on our head. It is vain to remain and chatter, and to wait for a clearer sky. Helter skelter, I must fly for shelter till the clouds roll by.
What bad luck, it's coming down in buckets. Have you an umbrella handy?
I've a warm coat, waterproof, a storm coat. I shall be all right, I know. Later on, too, I will ward the grip off with a little nip of brandy.
Or a glass of toddy draining. You'll find it more sustaining.
Don't be worried, I entreat. I've rubbers for my feet, so I don't mind it raining. Oh, the rain comes a pitter-patter, and I'd like to be safe in bed. Skies are weeping while the world is sleeping, trouble heaping on our head. It is vain to remain and chatter, and to wait for a clearer sky. Helter skelter, I must fly for shelter till the clouds roll by.
Your hat. Yeah, your book.
Yes, thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Till the clouds roll by.
Such a beautiful song that. So, George leaves. The curtain rises now on the second scene of the show, and it is the next morning. George has returned from Jim's apartment to find that Judge Carter, that's Llewellyn's father, has shown up looking for George to discuss the engagement. He is impatient and distracted because he has misplaced a very important speech he has written. Meanwhile, the young ladies from the party the night before have returned, asking George to take them to the country club for the awarding of the Polo Trophy. Judge Carter questions whether George is morally fit to marry his daughter, and George explains himself in the next song. And for this song, Patricia is not Llewellyn, Maggie's not Jackie, but they are now two of the young party girls, Jane and Polly.
I don't know why, but I've always been shy. I feel a fool when a girl passes by. If her eyes look into mine, I get cold shivers down my spine. If I get cornered and can't run away, I never know what the dickens to say. My heart begins to thump, and I feel a perfect chump. I've known men who weren't a bit like that.
So have we, it's a well-known variety.
Men who like to sit with girls and chat.
It's a type that has sought our society.
Men who like to meet at lunch, 20 females in a bunch. Men who meet a girl on Sunday and are holding hands by Monday. I have often envied them, their nerve,
Though they don't always act with propriety.
and their gift of rapid repartee. They don't sit there red and dumb, praying hard for death to come. That's the kind of man I'd like to be. I get no show when to parties I go. People all say that I'm stupid and slow. Nowadays you've not a chance unless you dance the latest dance. I've had instructors who said they could teach. Hundreds of dollars I've handed to each. I do just what they say, but my feet get in the way. I've known men who keep it up all night.
So have we, it's a well-known variety.
Men who trot with girls and hold them tight.
It's a type that has sought our society.
Men who grow excited as their pet jazz band starts to jazz. At the dance, they're perfect wizards. I admire these tango lizards. I have often wished to be like that.
Though they don't always act with propriety.
They've a skill which never comes to me. All the fancy steps they do, not apart their partner's shoe. That's the kind of man I'd like to be.
So, George leaves, and Jane and Polly discover Llewellyn's bag.
Here's a bag with a lot of girls' things in it.
Is there?
Ribbons and laces and everything.
Ribbons and lace make a dangerous combination.
To a laundry shop came a dainty little maid, and they showed some pretty things to her. They delighted her what's more, all the pretty things she saw, though I don't intend to tell you what they were. Mother says it's very wrong of me, she murmured to herself, wasting money on delightful things like those. For she tells me, don't you see, there is nobody but me who is ever going to see them, yet of course one never knows. For a little bit of ribbon and a little bit of lace and a little bit of silk that clings, when together they are linking, always sets a fellow blinking, and it also gets him thinking things. It's a useful combination for assisting a flirtation if you want to get a man beneath your spell. And although I'm hardly 20, I believe I could do plenty with a little bit of ribbon and a little bit of lace and a little bit of silk as well. with a fellow's peace of mind. For a little bit of ribbon and a little bit of lace and a little bit of silk that clings, when together they are linking, always sets a fellow blinking, and it also sets him thinking things. Now a little bird, it said, was in the branches overhead, but when I asked him what he saw, he wouldn't tell. Though he said he'd like to mention what attracted his attention was a little bit of ribbon and a little bit of lace and a little bit of silk as well. For a little bit of ribbon and a little bit of lace and a little bit of silk that clings, when together they are linking, always sets a fellow blinking, and it also sets him thinking things. It's a useful combination for resisting a flirtation if you want to get a man beneath your spell. But to get him really going, all you need is to be showing just a little bit of ribbon and a little bit of lace and a little bit of silk as well.
So, now, from the bedroom comes Jackie. Jackie's back. She's been sleeping there all night in Llewellyn's pajamas. Jim arrives, having had no luck in retrieving any of Jackie's belongings, although he did find a copy of a speech. Meanwhile, George is worried that all the late-night partying is going to cause him to be evicted by his landlord and that he's going to have to move. Jackie and Jim try to make him feel better. Incidentally, a side note, back in this time in New York, all leases expired on May 1st. So thousands of people would be moving on May 1st, which was known as Moving Day.
It gives you such a nice, comfortable feeling when Jim takes charge of things. Don't you think so, George?
No, I haven't noticed it.
What's the matter with you?
From what my landlord says, I expect to be thrown out on the street.
Well, you've got a lovely day for it.
Oh, springtime is a happy season, of which the poets make a fuss. The pleasant sunshine brings the peas on, and ripens the asparagus.
Yum.
As through the meadows green you ramble, you hear the lark's melodious lay.
Well, everywhere the lambkins gambol in their bone-headed damnful way. But spring is dear to me because of moving a day.
When springtime is returning, you feel a yearning to roam, and the place is filled with packing cases till there's no place like home. Your income is improving, and so you're moving away.
And oh joy, you're independent of the Swedish superintendent
On the first day of May, when springtime is returning, you feel a yearning to roam, and the place is filled with packing cases till there's no place like home. Your income is improving, and so you're moving away.
and you watch your wife and sisters packing up and getting blisters
On the first day of May, and then the place is in a fine way, with men who pop in unawares and do jujitsu with the Steinway and catch as catch can with the chairs.
You hear a crash that turns you chilly. You say, good gracious, what was that?
And find they've dropped the stove on Willie, or stubbed their toe on James the cat, or dumped
time is a gay time. You spend the daytime and night fighting battles with your goods and chattels till you can't keep polite. Cut glass to grind your heels on. You take your meals on a tray, and you find the moving fellas wipe your box of Panatellas.
You certainly are sure that they smashed Aunt Minnie's bureau.
And the maid is in a twitter 'cause the dog got sore and bit her.
Oh, yes, your income is improving, and so you're moving away.
And too late you find it, maybe you have gone and packed the baby.
On the first day of May.
So Llewellyn comes onto the scene with her mother, Mrs. Carter, who is quickly scandalized by all the young ladies hanging about George's apartment. When Jackie accidentally mentions that she has been staying there all night, George lies and introduces Jackie as his Quaker Aunt Penelope. Judge Carter returns, and Jackie recognizes him as Toodles, the old man who had made a pass at her. So, amidst all this confusion, the curtain falls on Act 1. Act 2 opens later that day at the Meadowsides Country Club, where Jim and his friends are there preparing for the trophy ceremony, celebrating and feeling nostalgic.
On the other side of the moon, ever so far beyond the last little star, there's a land I know where the good songs go, where it's always afternoon, and snug in a haven of peace and rest lie the dear old songs that we love the best. It's a land of flowers and April showers, with sunshine in between, with roses blowing and rivers flowing, mid rushes growing green, where no one hurries and no one worries, and life runs calm and slow. And I wish someday I could find my way to the land where the good songs go. Dear old songs forgotten too soon, they had their day and then we threw them away. And without a sigh we would pass them by for some other newer tune. So off to a happier home they flew, where they're always loved and they're always new. It's a land of flowers and April showers, with sunshine in between, with roses blowing and rivers flowing, mid rushes growing green, rushes growing green, where no one hurries and no one worries, and
Well, Constable Sims is on duty at the country club and is still determined to find the young lady who punched him. Meanwhile, Jim feels that Jackie has been getting a little too friendly with George.
All right. If you like George best, I might as well just go. I can see I'm a trifle superf.
Oh, nonsense. Just because I like George doesn't mean I don't like you too, silly boy. I like one man for one thing and one for another.
When I love a girl, I want to be the star, not just come on in the mob scenes.
Isn't it funny? Give a man one smile and he thinks it hands him the right to scowl at every other male creature on your visiting list. Though men think it strange, girls should need a change from their manly fascinations. The fact is, the act is, a thing we're driven to. You don't have much fun if you stick to one. Men have all such limitations. Look round you, I'm bound you will find that this is true. At the opera, I like to be with Freddie to a musical show. I go with Joe. I like to dance with Ted and golf with Dick or Ned, and at the races and other lively places, Sam and Eddie are fun. But I'm pining till there comes in my direction one combining every masculine perfection who'll be Eddie and Joe and Dick and Sam and Freddie and Eddie and Teddy rolled in one. Everywhere you go, men are useful, so just collect them where you find them. Catch 20, that's plenty. I don't think you'll need more. If they say you flirt, don't be feeling hurt. That's the way they have, don't mind them. They tell us they're jealous, but that's what men are for. At the opera, I like to be with Freddie to a musical show. I go with Joe. I like to dance with Ted and golf with Dick or Ned, and at the races and other lively places, Sam and Eddie are fun. But I'm pining till there comes in my direction one combining every masculine perfection who'll be Eddie and Joe and Dick and Sam and Freddie and Eddie and Teddy rolled in one.
Jackie asks Judge Carter to clear her name with the police in return for giving him his speech back, which Jim still has in his possession. Judge Carter agrees and goes off to find the constable. Jim decides it's the right time to propose to Jackie.
Let us flee from this scene of degradation to some happier summer clime, to some peaceful land.
Oh, Jim, stop. Stop. Remember, I have romantic nature. You are carrying me away.
To Capri, where the olive trees are decked in bloom. There, upon the hillside, we will lie and watch the evening star rising above.
And the petals from the orange groves. Oh, tell me about the petals from the orange grove.
Yes, Cleopat.
Tell me about the petals from the orange blossom.
What's the idea? We're not married yet.
The young bride dreams of resting on the scented slopes of Italy and wakes up to find herself hitting the hay in Flatbush.
I've always liked the sort of song you hear so much today, called When It's Something or Other Time in Some Place Far Away. Oh, tulip time in Holland, a pleasant time must be.
While some are strung for apple blossom time in Normandy.
But there's another time and place that makes a hit with me. When it's nesting time in Flatbush, we will take a little flat.
With welcome on the mat.
Where there's room to swing a cat. I'll hang up my hat, I'll hang up my hat. Life will be so sweet with you. When it's nesting time in Flatbush
Avenue. Our little home may have defects like all these flats in town. It's wiser not to lean on the walls,
because they might fall down.
it's rather badly lighted, which makes it hard to see. The neighbors play their gramophones each night till after 3.
But it will be a paradise if shared my love with thee. When it's nesting time in Flatbush, as you heard me say before,
You will see the janitor
with the girl whom I adore. On the 7th floor, we will start to bill and coo. When it's nesting time in Flatbush
Avenue.
When it's nesting time in Flatbush,
We will have our picture took
to put in a little book.
for the visitors to look. If by hook or crook we secure a cook,
She shall see that picture too. When it's nesting time in Flatbush Avenue. When it's nesting time in Flatbush,
we'll be happy, you and I.
with what rapture we will fly.
Our first rubber plant to buy.
I could not deny that luxury to you. When it's nesting time in Flatbush Avenue.
So, Mrs. Carter, Llewellyn's mother, is convinced that George is a libertine, and she persuades her husband to forbid Llewellyn to speak to George, which makes Llewellyn despondent. Jackie, still pretending to be George's Quaker Aunt Penelope, tries to console her. In the next song, Michael and Arlo will be playing the entire male chorus.
Nephew, send in 2 drinks for me, please.
But surely Quakers don't drink.
It is permitted us in case of illness.
Are you ill?
I'm all in. Will you please tell my nephew to send my drinks out to the porch?
But Mother and Father won't permit me to talk to George.
I bet thee'll make up for it once thee is married.
Pretty hard to bill and coo in the sign language, Miss Carter.
No, it isn't. A girl in love does not need words to say so to a man, for love has a language of its own.
Can she learn it?
She can.
Would he understand it?
Oh,
Why, the chap she's talking to. If she didn't say a thing, we don't see how he could.
it's an easy thing to do.
It's an easy thing to do.
If every day he reads the message he sees in her eyes, if when he gazes fondly in them she droops them and sighs, then he will know she loves him dearly, whatever may befall. So now you understand why words are not needed at all.
If every
day he reads the message he sees in her eyes. If when he gazes fondly in them, she droops them and sighs, then he will know she loves him dearly, whatever may befall. So now you understand why words are not needed at all.
Then flowers are quite a help, for each means something, I am told. A rose may say, I love you, dear.
Yes, we know, but that's old. Can't you tell us something new?
That's an easy thing to do.
For the language of the flowers has been overdone.
Jewels have their language too.
Jewels have their language too.
If every day he sends her diamonds or pearls on a string, if every day she gets a pendant or a bracelet or a ring, then she will know how very deeply in love he must be. When people love each other, words are not needed, you see.
If every day he sends her diamonds or pearls on a string, if every day she gets a pendant or bracelet or ring, then she will know how very dearly in love he must be. When people love each other, words are not needed, you see.
The confusion escalates when George's actual Quaker Aunt Penelope arrives on the scene looking for her nephew, and she accidentally proceeds to get drunk. But we won't do that here. At the height of everything, looking hopelessly convoluted, George, Jim, and Jackie wish they lived in a simpler time.
Life is too complicated. I wish we were back in the Golden Age.
Or the Bronze Age.
Or the Stone Age. I'm strong for the Stone Age. Think, Jackie, you would be the seductive Tanglefoot, and I would be Flubbydub, your burly champion.
My great big caveman.
Life today is so sad and gray, for the good old times have flown.
Things were better long, long ago in the far-off age of stone.
Then folks weren't always in a hurry. All they said was I should worry.
Girls and men were happy then, and troubles were unknown. Flubby-dub, the caveman lived the ideal life, far from all this modern noise and care and strife. He got up each morning with the sun, took the dinosaurs for a run. When the rent collector called on quarter day, he got out his club, and when they called for taxes, he just sharpened up his axes. Life was pretty soft for Flubby-Dub.
Life, they say, in that distant day was so peaceful and serene.
For the baby vampire hadn't come up on the screen.
No one knew of the ukulele, so things went on jogging gaily.
No one spent his last red cent
On eggs and gasoline.
Flubby-Dub, the caveman lived the ideal life, far from all this modern noise and care and strife. He was never trampled in the crotch. Every evening in the uptown wash, for in those delightful prehistoric days, subways did not suck and straps were not invented, so that he was quite contented. Life was pretty soft for Flubby-Dub, the dub.
So, happily, things eventually get sorted out. Judge Carter clears Jackie's name. Jim and Jackie announce their engagement. And once all the truth is out, Llewellyn's parents consent to her marriage with George. Before we do the finale here, I just want to thank you all for coming today. I want a special thanks to Melissa Baker here at Trinity for helping us out so much, to Adam Alexander for asking me to come and be a part of this, to my dear friend Larry Moore, who has been essential in helping me put this all together, and to these 4 wonderful, wonderful singers. Next week, if you come back next week at 1 o'clock, we're going to be doing a very rarely heard show by George Gershwin called Primrose. Have a great day and enjoy the finale. Thank you.
No, Judge, that's the wife of Jim Marvin. At least she's going to be.
That's the first time George has told the truth today.
Do you know, Jim, I bet that boy could eat garlic and then lie out of it.
I see, George. I shall have to be a little firm with you.
A little firm? Well, then let's incorporate right now.
Oh, boy.